Hello and welcome to Hermetic Journeys. I'm your host, Tony G. I'm your host, your ghost host. Well, I guess we're getting into the spirit of October. Thank you for tuning in, and thanks to all of you who have subscribed, because it's taken us over the 300 mark. Oh my goodness, that is beyond belief. Now, we continue our exploration of Atalanta Fugiens with Emblem 19, which is filled with meaning, and it's very, very deep. So we're going to dive deep here. So don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. We'll hold your hand when we dive into the waters here, and it's all going to be good, right? So let's take a look at this emblem. Wow. Okay, we've got something going on here. Thank God their naughty bits are covered, right? I mean, oh my goodness, can you imagine? In any case, we've got four men apparently confronting a man with a club. The four men appear to have different elements, or represent different elements, right? One guy holding fire, one guy holding wind, another guy splashing water, another guy holding what looks to be maybe a clump of dirt, and behind him is the usual picture postcard imagery done by Matthias Marian. He's so wonderful. So, okay, wow, we've got a lot going on here. So let's not waste one moment, okay? And let's have our dear Count, Michael, read the motto.
Why, certainly, Tony G. If you kill one of the four, everybody will be dead immediately.
And Count Michael, if you would please, do us the honor of reading the epigram.
Absolutely, Tony G. Twice two brothers are standing in a long row, one of whom holds a lump of earth in his hand, and the second one carries water. The share of the others is air and fire. If you want them to perish, kill only one of them, and all will be extirpated by the murder of their relative, because mutual bonds of nature unite them. Good luck with this one, Tony G.
Why, thank you, dear Count. You've left us with a real puzzle here, but I think we're up to the challenge. Wow. I guess the Count's really getting into the spirit of Halloween, right? Don't you love it? And by the way, of course, you all know we deeply and profoundly have a great respect for Count Michael Meyer and his contribution to the alchemical world. Good, I mean, oh my goodness, just an amazing guy. And of course, Matthias Marian.
Why, thank you, dear sir. Thank you.
Now, before we go any further, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine. He's the first of two special guests I have for this video. His name is Nathan. I met him on the Adept Expeditions Tour in Egypt. And again, if you're going to go to Egypt, go with NEXT's Adept Expeditions Tours, because they're just awesome, man. Anyway, every time I release a video, Nathan sends me some comments via text, and they're just always so profound. I mean, really, really incredible stuff. And he's probably saying, cut it out, but it's true. And so, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you my friend Nathan. Take it away, Nathan.
Oh, hi there. What up, Hermetic Journeys? What up, Tony G? Your old pal Nathan here, from sunny California. Emblem 19, so much to unpack. Where to begin? The one squaring off against the four. The hand, if you will. The naked elemental forces, the unrefinedness of the four versus the thumb. The dexterous, if you will, with a club in his right hand. A club made out of wood, not metal, not anything else, but wood. Fascinating. If you kill one, they all die. They're all part of the same holistic structure, if you will. We see the four are naked. The thumb guy has a red skirt over his genital area. The red covering up the black and white, the base materialism. Guarded, if you will, with a yellow, perhaps gold, rope around his waist. Fun. So much to unpack, so much fun. Keep up the good work, guys. Much love. Later, Tony.
Naked and unrefined elemental forces. And the 5 of these men acting as a hand, as Nathan was called, a holistic structure. Okay, wow. Perhaps the elements represent the ebb and flow of creation and destruction in our world, right? I mean, I say this because Nathan also texted me concerning an additional observation that 3 of these men, the ones holding air, fire, and water, are holding him at the level of the genitals, the lower chakras, okay? These are the creative and destructive forces. The one holding earth is holding it above, right? Holding it at the level of his head, so the higher chakras. So the earth is this beautiful place, and all this creation and destruction goes on throughout the earth, and it's from us. It's up to us, all right? This is what Nathan does. This is why I wanted him to say something about this, because he drops these thought-provoking bombs on you. and then I start thinking, so thank you, Nathan, my dear friend. Always appreciate it. Anyway, you might notice a similarity here between Emblem 17 and Emblem 19. Emblem 17 displayed globes of fire of varying temperatures, but also was a representation of the elements, if you recall. This was revealed through our research using the golden chain of Homer. And I'm going to read a little section that applies to Emblem 19 as well. Water and earth belong together, as fire and air do. Nay, all 4 stand in need of each other. The earth wants water, and fire cannot do without air. Air without or deprived of fire becomes a putrid humidity, and water without animated air becomes mud and earth. So in Emblem 17, we have the 4 globes representing the 4 elements and 4 varying degrees of fire, okay? So in this emblem, Emblem 19, we have 4 men representing those things. Now remember the golden chain, the 4 globes of fire were really a chain linked together. So if one of those links fails, the whole chain falls apart. Similarly, if one of these men are killed, all of them die together. You see the linkage there? Pun intended. So on the surface of this emblem, we see the same concept as in Emblem 17, but with 4 men instead of 4 globes of fire. But there's more to this than meets the eye. If we examine the epigram one more time, Michael Meyer tells us, twice 2 brothers are standing in a long row. Twice 2. Does that mean 2 sets of twins? Reminds me of the Gemini twins, Castor and Pollux, right? But wait a minute, there were only 2 twins, right? Or were there? So what's all this about 2 sets of twins in Gemini? I thought it was only 1 set of twins, Castor and Pollux. Well, that's not the whole story. The whole story goes like this, and it's kind of disturbing, so hang on to your hats. Leda, who was the mother of Castor and Pollux, was swimming in a pond one day, and Zeus lusted after her, as always, and turned himself into a swan and raped her in the pond. Now, whether she was cognizant of this or he put a spell on her, not really sure. But in any case, he did this, and because of that act, Pollux and Helen, the very same Helen of Troy, by the way, were created. Now, that night, Leda went home and made love to her husband. Because of that act, Castor and Clynestra were created. Now, so we had a set of twins that were immortal because they were fathered by Zeus, and a set of twins that were mortal because they were fathered by Leda's husband. Now, Castor and Pollux, the 2 brothers, we have brother, sister, brother, sister. Castor and Pollux, the 2 brothers, became very close. They loved each other dearly, right? They were inseparable. Of course, because Castor was mortal, eventually he dies. Pollux was so distraught and so upset about this, he went to Zeus. He petitioned Zeus and he said, please bring my brother back. Zeus was so touched by Pollux's emotion that he resurrected Castor, making him immortal, and placed the 2 immortals in the sky in the constellation of Gemini. Beautiful story. Disturbing, but beautiful. I said it once and I'll say it again. Zeus. Oy. If we look closely at the emblem, we can see the first set of twins are identical and share unique features, while the second set do as well. So the amazing Matthias Marian reveals to us that these are indeed the elements, but also two sets of twins, just like the Gemini twin story we talked about. At this point, I'd like to introduce our second special guest for this video. He's my friend from Germany. His name is Tamas. And Tamas is going to talk primarily about Emblem 17, but we'll see the linkage between 17 and 19 easily here. And he has a unique perspective concerning the four elements and their relationship to the human body. Really cool stuff. So, without any further ado, hi Tamas.
Hi Tony, how are you? So you asked me to talk about Emblem 17 of the Atalanta Fugiens. In my interpretation, the four elements are representing four faculties of a human being. Earth is the body, water represents emotions, air is the mental faculty, or thoughts, and fire is awareness in Advaita Vedanta sense. I have found many indications to support these claims, but I don't have much time now, so I have picked the one which is the hardest to find. In another book of Dr. Meyer, in the Arcana Arcanissima, published in 1614, he explains on page 13 that at the beginning of the work, element Earth has acquired an expansion. And both in the yogic tradition and in Advaita Vedanta, it is a sign of progress when the boundary between the body and the external world disappears, or before that you have a feeling of expansion in the body, like a sponge in water. And this gives a meaning to the line in the Emerald Tablet about the separation of earth and fire, because from an Advaita point of view, this would mean that awareness should not identify with the body. So what can the chain of the elements mean in the case of the four faculties? Well, for example, if you have a good physical health, a proper body posture, proper bathing, etc., then this affects the emotional state positively. And if you feel good, then this can give a boost to thinking in the form of inspiration. In other words, earth supports water and water supports air. But I can tell you that alchemy is not about fitness.
I do so agree, Tamas. Alchemy is not about fitness. I love that line. But if you think about it, you're right. It's about health because the Philosopher's Stone was seen as a universal panacea to cure all disease, help you live forever. Thank you so much for your unique and brilliant perspective concerning Emblem 17 and of course now Emblem 19 as it applies. Ultimately, this emblem is symbolic. But symbolic of what? Well, the emblem represents death and resurrection. How do we know this? Well, I took a peek into the discourse and Count Michael tells us, kill the living one, but do it in such a way that you can revive him again. Otherwise, his death has not been of any use, for death will reveal him. When he rises, death, darkness, and waters flee from him. In conclusion, this can be explained in three ways. Number one, the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Christ was always affiliated with the Philosopher's Stone because of his crucifixion, death, and resurrection, okay? Right? So it's sort of the Philosopher's Stone there, the alchemical process going on within Christ. So he's a symbol. He's a veritable embodiment of the Philosopher's Stone, if you will. Number two, on a spiritual level, the death and resurrection of human beings, okay? We are bombarded with these polarities during this lifetime. You know, we're alive, we're bombarded with polarities, right? And of course, we have to be in this world of polarities. At school, where else are we going to learn this stuff but here on earth? But the death of form into spirit will release these polarities and bring us to higher consciousness, the lessons we're taking with us into the spirit realm or into the realm of higher consciousness, however you want to perceive it. And on an alchemical level, with the death and resurrection of metals or plants, bring about the Philosopher's Stone. It's the same concept, right? And of course, we have to factor in Nathan's fascinating perspective concerning the three men holding their elemental weaponry, okay, these forces at the genital level, right, the lower chakras, and how these represent the forces that work upon earth to create life. And also, on the other side of it, ultimately seek to destroy it, okay? We are an interesting species. And finally, taking Tamas's interpretation of the four elements and how they are represented within our body and how they work together to maintain our health and mental acuity. All right, remember, earth being the body itself, water being the emotions, air being the mental thought and acuity, and fire being awareness and consciousness. So I'm going to read this conclusion to you that I hope will pull all this together. Here we go. Ultimately, this emblem is about breaking the bonds which bind the substances to be purified and subsequently used to create the most important goal of the alchemist, the philosopher's stone. As Tamas pointed out, these energies act within us, each of us having our own golden chain. And if you recall, this applies to the alchemist in the pursuit of the universal panacea. Nathan's observation concerning these creative and destructive forces are our own responsibility to be used to better ourselves. I believe we do this through breaking the bonds imposed upon us by this world of polarities, so that we may be enlightened and evolve to higher realms of consciousness. I believe this is what Count Michael and his Emblem 19, and Emblem 17 as well, probably, are telling us. This is what he's telling us. So I would like to thank everyone who has helped with this video. Thank you, Tamas. Thank you, Nathan. Truly appreciated to your contributions. And God, the next emblem is Emblem 20. Wow. All right. It's going to be a really special episode, if you will, because we got some surprise guests coming on. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you can. Like the video if you like it. And I'll see you next time for Emblem 20.